There is a version of you who is calm, abundant, deeply confident, and dreams big. There is also another version of you, the part of you anxious, comparing, overthinking, and fearful. That's the ego self. Every single day, we are either choosing the higher self or the ego self. In this video, let's understand our higher self first, what ego actually does, how it tricks and manipulates us, and how to elevate beyond the ego and rise into our higher self, and a powerful way to choose a higher self because that's where true manifestation happens. Let's get started. Your higher self is not somewhere far in the clouds. It is already there inside of you. It is the most expanded version of you. Imagine your higher self like a sun that always shines. This is your higher self. And at the same time, there are some clouds that block this sun. That is our ego self and the stories of the ego, or maybe the comparison that the ego does, or the lack mindset, or it could be the jealousy, it could be the stories, whatever the stories the ego says. Lack mindset, jealousy, there are a lot of other stories which the ego says. Even when the clouds created by the ego mind covers the sun never disappears. It's just hidden behind the clouds. The more we dissolve the clouds, the more we will be able to see the sun clearly. That means the more we dissolve the ego mind, we will be able to see our higher self clearly. Your higher self is already inside of you, as I told you earlier. In NLP, there is a belief of excellence. It goes like this. We humans have within us all the resources we ever needed. That means your higher self is the best, most evolved version of you that already exists on a different frequency, on a higher frequency. Your higher self has visions. It holds the blueprint of your best life. Maybe you dream of becoming a motivational speaker, building a beautiful home, helping others heal, earning in crores, or traveling the world. All those desires are not fantasies. They are messages from your higher self asking you to grow into that vibration. If you are desiring it, that means it is your higher self who is already there in that field, wants to show you the path. Your higher self is a real you who knows what you are meant to do. It's that calm, wise part of you that never reacts. It just observes, guides, and loves you unconditionally. You can think of your higher self as your inner GPS. It always knows the right direction and always guiding you, because just imagine there is a mountain. Your ego self is somewhere here. It is at the base of the mountain, whereas your higher self, it's here at the top of the mountain. If you are at the base of the mountain, you only see one small path, but your higher self energetically is already on top and it sees everything clearly. So in simple words, your higher self is the best, most evolved version of you that already exists on a higher frequency. And your job is not to find it, but to simply align with it. But when we are here at the base, there's a part of us that keeps us stuck. That is the ego self, which is at the survival level, survival consciousness. It's the part of you that lives inside the box of your mind. This is our ego self. It lives, as I told you earlier, inside the box. It could be anger, jealousy, superiority. Ego refers to the self-identity we have constructed throughout our life. The ego always needs the story to survive. It keeps talking in our head all day long, not because it's true, but because it wants to survive. It wants to feel superior, and It needs attention and it loves drama. Whereas your higher self lives in trust. So your higher self is a pure consciousness, whereas ego is the identity cloud. It lives inside the box. The ego feeds on emotional charge, anger, jealousy, comparison, etc. Drama is its food. And slowly our mind gets addicted to the story that the ego self says. So that's how it can survive. Ego constantly compares you to others. Ego always lives in scarcity, whereas your higher self lives in abundance because it is aligned with the universal energy. The universe is naturally abundant. That means there is more than enough of everything for everyone. A tree does not compete with the next tree for the sunlight. There is enough sunlight for the entire world. It's only our ego that believes in lack. The ego says, if they have it, then I can't have it. If they get it, then I will not get it. It makes you feel like the world is very limited, that if others win, I have to lose. So it constantly compares you to others. Complaining, blaming are the favorite stories of the ego mind. But the thing is, as I told you earlier, it is clouding your higher self, which is already there inside of us. But because of the ego, we are not able to see that. Each of these stories keeps you stuck at a low vibration. And every time you believe these stories, your energy frequency drops. There is something called map of consciousness. If we study the map of consciousness, we understand that each emotion vibrates at a certain frequency. This is the map of consciousness. So first of all, let's understand the different levels of consciousness, or in simple words, the emotional frequencies we all move through every day. It is our own consciousness. At the lowest level, we live in shame, guilt, fear, anger, and these are all actually the contracted mindset. And at the top here, it is the expanded awareness. Here there is expanded awareness of same our own, consciousness. Each of these states vibrates at a frequency, all of these emotions. When we have these emotions, we are vibrating at a low level. Here actually the ego is in charge of all of these lower vibrations. These emotions feel very heavy in the body. They pull our energy down. That is why in the energy world, it is also called as downward spiral. They make our breath shallow, our body tense, and our mind noisy. When you move up to the courage, acceptance, and then love, you rise closer to the frequency of your higher self. This is where your higher self lives. Very expanded awareness. At the low level, here low frequency activates old subconscious stories of fear, control, or lack. Anything you want to achieve, you will think, what if I fail? What if people don't like me? I didn't achieve anything previously. How is it even possible for me? Nothing ever works for me. These thoughts loop, not because you want them, but because the mind is trying to protect you at this level. So in order to meet our higher self, in order to have the expanded awareness, we should become aware of the stories the ego says in order to protect us. We have to see, the first step is catch the story. Catch the story. You can't change what you don't see. So start catching your ego in the act. You don't need to fight the ego or force yourself, but become aware of the stories, because ego is full of stories. And then say, okay, that's my ego trying to protect me, keep me safe. For example, whenever you feel bad, pause and ask, what story am I telling myself right now? The moment you see the story, you are no longer inside the story. You become the observer. And step two, question the story. Ask yourself, is this absolutely true? You will realize that 90% of ego stories are all assumptions or fears and not facts. And the moment you question it, the story loses power. And the third step is change the story. You will change the story and you will create a better story. So if ego says, I failed, your higher self says, I discovered what does not work. And that's progress. When you feel jealous of someone, if ego makes noise, they have it and I don't have it, your higher self says, their success shows what's possible for me. Let me also do something in my life. And you will literally start to rewire your energy field when you create a better story for yourself. The higher self always speaks with love, trust, and abundance. And the story changes your energy frequency. When you choose higher stories, you return to the present moment where there is peace, there is power, there is possibility. You stop reacting to what's outside and start creating from what's inside. The path to your higher self is not about becoming something else, it's about remembering who you truly are. Pure, remembering that you're pure consciousness, pure love, pure creation. You are not the stories your ego tells. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. And as you rise in vibration, life begins to rise with you. People change, opportunities open, synchronicities appear because matching frequencies attract. And you moved out of your old frequency. And the universe always mirrors the frequency you live from. If this message touched your heart, then I invite you to subscribe to this channel. More such powerful stuff, more such things will be taught. Thank you for watching. Namaste.